So this webinar is everything about how to get into top MBA colleges, planning your GRE, GMAT application process. We all have been in the same shoes, so we can imagine the anxiety around it. And yeah, sharing our experience, MBA experience and job opportunities here. So let me start with introducing myself. So I had a background, a little weird background in fashion design and economics prior to my cum. I was working for about 5 years as a digital marketing consultant, where I was helping mainly startups scale their business through social media campaigns. At my cums, I've been working on my newfound love for finance. Funny, I recruited for consulting, but will be joining Amazon as the senior product manager. I have these wonderful ladies here with me, Divya and Sindhu. Firstly, I want to thank them for staying so late and really being so diligent and hardworking and inspiring me. So I used to watch Divya during the Forte conference. She used to like be all suited up and started networking long before we joined our MBA program. And I think that is why she had a pre-MBA offer from strategy consulting. And within 4 months, she could get an offer in investment banking, City or New York, which is super difficult. So I think you will have a lot to gain from her. And for Sindhu, she has around 6 internship offers spanning over consulting, tech, and finance. I don't know how she did it, but I'm truly amazed by her journey and the way she prioritizes her workload. So she will be joining in strategy and in San Francisco. And if you guys can start with your introductions, and then we can go over a few questions that I've planned. So Divya, Sindhu, any of you, if you could start with your introductions.
Oh, sorry. Thank you so much.
Go ahead, Divya. That's fine. Go ahead.
Giving, like I definitely feel great about myself with the way you described my journey. So thank you for that. As a background, everyone, first of all, thank you for having us over here. I completed my graduation undergrad from Lady Shri Ram College in Delhi University in BCom Honors. And right out of my undergrad, I started working at PwC. Started off in assurance, completed my CA track. As soon as I completed my CA, I kind of wanted to work in M&A, and I moved over to the strategy and operations consulting team within M&A at PwC. Worked there for a couple of years. Then I moved over to PwC Toronto with an international transfer. Spent some time working here. Completed my 7th-year mark at PwC. Worked on my family's technology business for a little bit, and at the end of it, I wanted to come back and do M&A more on the strategy side. And that's what prompted me to do an MBA to make this transition kind of work out. And I applied for my MBA. McCombs is a great school where I met both of these lovely ladies. I'm going to be starting at Citi as an investment banker in their M&A group this summer. And happy to answer any questions that you guys have. Over to you, Sindhu.
Thanks, Divya, and thanks, Pragya, for having this session and such a great introduction. I mean, I feel so great about myself again already. I'm Sindhu. I'm a chartered accountant from India, just like Divya. Upon finishing my CA, I started working with Grant Thornton in assurance, and quickly I moved over to Goldman Sachs. I was in investment banking. I was doing asset management for Goldman Sachs. And I think around 2 years in, I felt I wanted to be a bit more in the consulting side. I had a taste of consulting with assurance, but I felt I wanted to be in strategy consulting as opposed to the niche audit consulting that I was doing, which is why I applied for my MBA. And I'm really liking it here at McCombs. It's a very good program, especially if you want to do like consulting, tech, or finance, or IB or something like that. It's a really good program. You will find all the resources that you need, all the support that you need. And yeah, happy to answer any questions that you guys may have. We've been in your position just a year ago, so everything's fresh in our mind. what went well, what really didn't go well. Everything's fresh in our mind. So any questions that you might have, please feel free to shoot them.
So I have a few questions planned, which these guys had asked me on like a question that I had sent. So so our journeys have been very different indeed. So why did you guys opt for MBA during this time of your career?
Well, I can take this up. Like I had a very specific reason for it, because I felt with around 4.5, 5 years of experience, if I continued in investment banking, I would sort of be typecast in similar roles. Switching would have been a lot more difficult if I had more experience. And I felt I would have that comfort, comfortable feeling, that sense of familiarity with investment banking. And I knew I didn't want to continue down that path, given my unique situation. So I felt with the sort of experience that I have, I'm at the right spot. It's a very malleable situation to make a switch. So yeah, that's why I felt that was the right time for me to do an MBA and go in for that switch.
I'll agree. Like I had similar reasons, maybe not the same. So I was working with mergers and acquisitions at PwC before, and I wanted to move over to the strategy side. Strategy side, I mean, more of conceptualizing the deal like a banker, uh, and really going through the negotiations of the transaction, which I realized is easier to do as an MBA. And so, and another reason was that at that point of time, I wanted to move to the US. My fiance used to be here, and we were kind of planning to get married. So that's how specifically US. Uh, and at that point of time.
Yeah. For me, I think the reasons were similar. Like I wanted to switch my path as well as I wanted to switch locations. And same, like my fiance was also in the US, and that's why I decided to come over here. All right. So did you plan to apply to any other countries or programs besides the MBA, and which programs? Like I know like a few new MBA programs like Tech MBA have come up, and some 1-year programs in the US as well. So like if you guys can shed some light on those.
Sure, I could go first for that. First, I was focused completely on the US. I did not apply to any other country. Like I was pretty sure that I wanted to be in the US. About other programs, it's only prudent to apply to more than one program, because you're never sure whether you'll get accepted into the program you specifically applied to or not. I was pretty focused on the 2-year MBA program. Like I know there are a few other programs that are up, like tech MBAs and stuff, but I wanted to get the full experience, and particularly with investment banking, it's very important to have that summer internship portion, which kind of narrowed down my search. Uh, a few other good programs that I applied to was Cornell, Darden, Keenan Flagler, and USC Marshall. I'd gone into Cornell and McCombs, and then I eventually decided to come to McCombs. It kind of fit better with what I wanted to do and my background at that point of time.
Well, I had admits from Oxford and NUS as well, because I wasn't very sure about the United States. I just wanted to keep my options open. But again, similar reason as the other two. Once I got my admits in the US, I think I had admits from Duke, Darden, McCombs, and there's one more. Ross, yeah, one of these. And the lower rung of schools as well. I wanted to sort of find a balance between ranking and scholarship, and that's why I chose McCombs. One advice that I would have for people who are looking at like a tech MBA, or like one of these 1-year programs or the newer MBAs, is that a lot of your networking is based on your alums, and the strength of the name that your school has. So if it's going to be a new program and it's not as well known in the market as some of the other schools are, then I would be a little cautious about it, because the strength of alumni is kind of important. It's pretty important, especially, if you're looking at something like consulting or IB, where networking is just so important. So, if you're looking at like a tech MBA or something, be very sure you want to get into the tech field. Otherwise, it's more prudent to cast your net wide and be in something that will give you your second and third option. A school that is good with your second and third option as well.
Yeah. So I totally agree with you both. I think like for us, like who are trying to pivot, doing that internship and having that time to explore yourself is really important. And for that as well, like my preference was US colleges, but I did apply to Canada and Europe, but like one or two colleges in Europe as well. So I applied to INSEAD, Ivy Business School, Macomb, Tepper, and Simon Business School. So these are the 5 colleges I applied to, and I felt like Macomb was the best fit for me because of location. Like my family stays here, so that was another reason. So yeah. Okay. Next question is, okay, somebody asked what are the best universities for finance? I think like Divya can answer this.
Love the question. So for finance, you might start with something as good as a Harvard University. Columbia has got a good finance program. It's got a bunch of people moving into investment banking and private equity and all sorts of fancy finance careers. Booth is pretty focused on finance amongst the M7s. Uh, I'll say Kellogg, Stanford are slightly more focused on other areas. MIT is a bit more focused on tech. Uh, After that, I'll say Darden, interestingly, is a school that has a very strong finance wing. A lot of people going into like a plethora of different finance fields, or that's something you might consider. McCombs is a great school for finance, and I can say that with my own experience. It's got an amazing investment banking coaching track, great education for investment management, corporate finance, and things like that. So these are the schools that I researched and I kind of thought are really great within finance. But you know, I'm sure that's not the end of the list. It's a pretty small number, and there are other schools that we can probably look up and learn more about.
If I'm not wrong, I think Simon Business School is also well known for finance, given that it's on the East Coast and it has such a good presence in the New York State. I think Simon is also a pretty good school for finance.
Yeah, that's good. And I think I missed NYU. Stern's got like huge numbers of people going into finance.
Right. So if someone's focused on finance, then definitely think of narrowing down on schools which are on the East Coast. There are exceptional cases, outstanding performers like Divya who come to other schools and are still able to crack into New York City. But just to keep your probabilities wide open, I think East Coast is where you would want to kind of position yourself if you're looking at careers in finance.
I think this is the most asked question, like regarding GRE and GMAT. I think everybody who reaches out asks like, what should be our score? This is our score. Should we apply? So like, I'll start with like what I think. Like, I think like there's no one score for everybody. Like we don't even know everybody's score in our batch. But I think what happens is like if your profiles are very similar and your GRE score is better, then you have an edge over the person that you are competing against. So I think it's more of a competition thing, and based on your profile, if it's very different and unique, you can have like a lower score as well. But if it's very similar to other people, then you will face more competition. That's what I feel. I had GRE score of 321. So I don't know if that helps anybody. And yeah.
Oh, interesting. Someone Randall has asked about doing a PhD in statistics. Okay. I think UT has a very large statistics PhD program. If you'd like, we should probably find out a little more about that. In fact, our statistics professor, Professor Shaibli, he is one of the advisors for the PhD program. I'm not too sure about statistics in other schools, but any of these large public research universities, such as UT, all of them will have a large statistics program as well. Um, we can definitely find out a little bit more with Professor Shaibli and let you know about it.
So one thing that my brother is doing a PhD and he faced it again and again that like the university doesn't matter, but your professor who you're doing it under, that matters. So so I think like you can research about professors and who you want to do it under. Like that will be more useful than the university brand name. I don't think like scholarship opportunities are different. Like I got a scholarship at McCombs and Simon as well. So and I just gave GRE. I did not give GMAT. So I don't think like it matters what test you give. Yeah, that's it. I'll just send you the name of the professor. Okay. Moving on to next question. How did you tackle writing your essays and going through the admissions process? The guy, I see you smiling. Why is that?
I was gonna say, Sindhu, do you want to take that?
Well, I think the main thing that these US schools want to see is how interested you are in their school, and the best way you can show that is by doing a lot of research. And research is mainly in three areas, right? One is the sort of courses. Second is in the sort of professors that they have. So I would generally speak a lot about the professors and the sort of research they are doing. And I would say, look, I read a couple of their papers, not because I was really interested in those professors or something, but just to show that, look, I know what is happening in your school and I can see myself being a good fit with your program. They really want to understand whether you have done that self-assessment, whether you will be a good fit, because that's going to be their first level of filtering, and then they will assess whether you are a good fit, right? So do that research, be it in terms of the courses, the professors, the sort of clubs that these schools have, or reach out to people in those schools and name drop, because name dropping is pretty important. Like you may not know the importance of it right now, but it really shows that you've put in the effort to be a part of that school. It's like dating, right? The more interest you show in the other person, the more interested they are in you. So yeah, I think if you take 10 steps forward, the school will definitely take 100 steps forward for you in the future. So put in a lot of effort with that research. And once you do that, your essays will automatically be a little bit better than someone who hasn't put in that level. So you want to go extremely deep, fit that into your essays, even in your interviews as well. When you get your interview invites from these schools, showcase how much you know about the school, how much you know about the program, um, how much you know about the ancillary clubs, all of that. It really shows that you have self-assessed that you're a good fit at the school.
Yeah, I agree. So, kind of structuring it a little bit, how I did it was, first I thought about, why do I want an MBA? Like, why do I really want an MBA? What kind of a difference does MBA make for me? That kind of led me to my post MBA goal. And then I had this goal in place and saw what schools kind of helped me achieve that goal. And your goal can be like 2, 3, 4 points. Like that's how it worked for me. Uh, and I try to optimize on what's the best I can get at a given school with my set of goals. Then did my research on the school and networking and kind of expressing why I want to be in the program and how exactly I fit and how can I contribute to the program. uh, is how I kind of went about it. Of course, lots of iterations, lots of updates, but fundamentally, like that's how I would like to summarize it.
One small point I would like to add, just to piggyback off Divya's comment. it does not matter if you don't have an idea of what you want to do. Right? I think I was talking to one of you just last night, and they said, I don't know. On paper, on my essays, I've said I want to do product management, but I'm not sure, and that is completely fine. You in your essays, you can say you want to be an environmental engineer, but your job after the MBA, you could be a petroleum person. Nobody cares, right? So what is important is understand what the school has to offer. If the school is a finance heavy school and you know you want to get into that school for something else, just make sure that you are aligning your background with having finance goals in the future, right? So it's all about getting your foot in the door. Once you're in, you can change tracks. So I think that was a question that I had when I was applying is, if I write consulting on my essays, does that mean I have to do consulting? No. Like I said, you could say I want to be a sustainability engineer or like an environmental consultant or something like that, and you could end up into petroleum and complete non-renewable sources of energy. Nobody cares. Just make sure you get your foot in the door, and then you will be exposed to so many opportunities that you previously thought weren't possible. And the schools know that. They know that once you come in, your mind will be opened up to many different things, and you will choose to do something. You might choose to do something different, which is completely fine. I think Pragya, you were about to say something.
Yeah, I want to add to this, like one being a member in the MAC, which is the McCombs Admission Committee. One criteria that they have is they try to filter students based on if they will be placed on whatever like goal they have. So if you name something that McCombs doesn't place, then that can be a negative as well. So don't go for something really weird. Just see the employment report. Do something which is similar to what people are getting placed into. And if you are doing something different, then you might want to show them that you will be able to get placed. You have those connects, or you have that experience, so that they don't feel like this person might join the program and will not have a job later. And I think one person has asked about the admissions process, like hiring an admission consultant. Like I know a few people who have, and I also hired someone for just editing, like in the end, like just proofreading the essays, but not like writing it from the scratch. I think you're the only person who can write your essay from the scratch and work on it. And for me, like after showing it to multiple friends and family members and people who had already done their MBA, I realized that showing my essays to them was better than working with the admission consultants. But if you don't have the time, if your job is really hectic and you need someone to, just make 600 words to 500 words and do that proofreading, then I think you can go for admissions consultant as well. But I did not hire somebody really high end or who I had to pay like 3-4 lakhs, or I just paid like 20,000 for 6 or 9 essays. So that was what I did. Okay.
No, that's
so
actually a very good point, Pragya, the one where you mentioned don't talk about something that's not at all in the purview of where the school places. Because one thing that as an admissions interviewer that they're trying to assess is, tomorrow will my career team be able to place this person in some in one of our industry expertise? Because at the end of the day, if we are not able to place you, get you a job, it reflects on our reports and what we publish on our website. So as an admissions interviewer, what they are trying to assess is, can we help you get a job? And if you're going to be trying to do something completely random that does not fit into the school's traditional employment aspects, then they might think you're a better fit somewhere else.
all right, moving on to next question. So a lot of people were
I think
curious.
Abhishek has a question. Avichal has a question. He has his hand raised. Sorry.
So
Yeah, go
yeah.
ahead.
So first of all, thank you, Pragya, for having this session. And luckily, I was scrolling through the LinkedIn and I saw your post. So thank you so much for giving this opportunity. I have a follow-up question that we were discussing earlier. It's more toward like, is it mandatory or is it how relevant is it to showcase that this is the path that I want to follow post MBA or during MBA during our application phase? Uh, because the kind of background that I'm carrying, I have like a 4-year work experience in business development, strategy, and market expansion. And currently, I'm into consulting. But I'm in between tussle where I should go, what kind of courses that I should look forward. For example, I genuinely like McComb's course. It has so much of options and so much of availability are there. But how can I showcase that? Okay, I'm interested, but I'm equally figuring out what should I do in future. I'm kind of very okay to explore my options, but what people say is you should showcase, okay, this is the career that I want to go forward, especially in our essays. So how relevant and how important it is?
So I'll take this up. So I think like during, even if you're exploring, like you can showcase your essays, like you have a plan A and a long-term plan. And then once you are in the college, that time you can explore and research. And even during the transition phase, like Jan to when the college will start August, there'll be different conferences, there'll be different events that the college will be hosting. I think that will be a great time for you to research what to, where to shift and where to go. And even during the college, like people pivot after their internship as well, in their second year as well. So I think like that ways you can always explore, like we all are still exploring, like in terms of what we like, what we don't like. I'm not sure if I love Amazon. Yeah, let's see. So yeah, maybe I should not have said that. But yeah. So so I think you just need to be focused and as to what fits your profile and what kind of like long-term plan you want to go for, and just stick to it during your interviews and even your essays. So don't be confused there. And once you get in that time, you can switch and you can plan other stuff. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
so yeah, like just adding a little bit on what Pragya said, yes, uh, you know, you might have a change in preference, but having an initial thought, for example, if you want to work in a particular industry and you're not sure what role, you can maybe highlight that industry a little more. Or if you like a particular function and you're not sure of what industry and what specific role, you can maybe go a bit more broad about it, uh, as compared to saying that, I'm not really sure. So, and that might be completely true, like in reality, but when you're really writing your essays, a bit more conviction on what you want to do kind of helps.
Well, as I was mentioning before, the admissions interviewer who's reading your essay and further interviews you, basically wants to assess whether I can place you, right? And for me to have that idea of whether I can place you or not, I should see that you have certain ideas of where you want to go. You have that conviction in your background, what you will get from the MBA, and how the combination of the two is going to put you in a good position, right? So, for your essays and for your interviews, like Divya said, have your story, stick to it. If you say, I want to become a product manager, yes, I want to build products that change the world, whatever, stick to it. Once you come in, nobody is going to tell you, hey, in your essays you said product management, how are you doing consulting now? Nobody is going to say that, right? So don't worry about that at all. So many of us came in here having written something on our essays, and we are doing something completely different, um, both in terms of role, function, location, everything changes, right? And the schools are also very cognizant of that fact, because I remember in our orientation also, I think one of the questions was, how many of you said you want to get into industry A in your essays and are looking at something completely different now? And this was a question 1 week into our MBA. So the universities are also very cognizant of that fact. Only thing is, for your essays and your interviews, have a story, stick to it. And that story should be cohesive. This is my background. This is what I'll get from the MBA. The combination of the two will place me into product management. It will place me into finance, into consulting, whatever, right? Have a cohesive story, a well-rounded story, stick to it. Once you come in here, the world is your oyster. You can do whatever you want. You can get into theater for all they care, right? So until you get in, have your story and stick to it.
Thank you, guys. This will really help.
All right. Moving on to next question. I think this is something everybody was really interested in, getting scholarships and how people finance their MBA, because it can be a lot. 2 years staying out of job and yeah, just paying for tuition. So I can start with what I did. So I've taken loan from Discover, but there's one caveat to that. So if you take loan from any US institutions, then you need to have somebody who has SSN to be what's it called? Guarantor. Yeah, I forgot the exact term, but be your
The
guarantor.
co-signer.
Co-signer, exactly. So that person is liable to pay your loan if you don't. So you need someone who is close to you. What I did was I did not have someone. Most of the people who I was close with were not like permanent residents in US. So I tried to find someone and try to work out a deal of some contract over here in India so that I can get a loan in US. And there was one contract in India as well. So you can be creative and figure out a way to get that loan at lower rate of interest. Um, Otherwise, I think a lot of people also go for Indian banks, and there's one Prodigy loans. They have a higher interest rate, but yeah, a lot of people go for that as well. And scholarships, there's no separate application, but ladies can add more to it.
Sure. So there are different ways in which I can break down the entire MBA funding. So one is, of course, the blessed scholarship. Try to get it as much as you can. I guess it goes without saying. Another part is going to be loan, like Pragya mentioned. Like she's got Discover loan. There are multiple different options, Prodigy and Indian banks. And in case you live in a third country, so I had the option for Canadian banks too. That's one. Another way is that you can take up an on-campus job, which is pretty common in the US. And depending on what you're doing, it kind of supplements a bit of the cost that you're going to incur. Another source of funding is the money that you make during your internship, which is which might not cover your entire tuition cost for sure, but definitely supplements and reduces the amount of loan you want to take. And then finally, towards the end of your program, the signing bonus that you get, a lot of people choose to pay off a part of the debt or cover a part of the tuition with that. Now, these cash flows come at different points of time, so it surely needs a bit of planning. And for most of the people that I know, including myself, it's a combination of all of these different sources of funding that kind of works in varying proportions for different people.
Hi, I'm Shama. I just have one follow-up question. So for getting scholarship, is there anything extra we need to do, like in the essays or in the application? Like we need to write something that is compelling, or how does it work?
So, great question. So, two parts to it. First, there are a lot of colleges that have a specific essay. Like I know Keenan Flagler had one. I can't remember anymore. It's been a while since I applied, but they might ask you for a scholarship essay, which is great, in which case they will consider you for a scholarship. The other part is that everyone who really applies to a school is considered for a scholarship by default. Now, how it works is, uh, how you compare with the candidate pool. Uh, and how outstanding you are as compared to the rest of the people you're up against at that point of time to be able to get scholarship. Because see, how this is how it works, that the university has this much money of scholarship to give, and they've got these many candidates that are kind of competing for it, and they would want to give it to the person who kind of has a profile that stands out. Now, to your question on how your profile stands out, a good way is the GMAT score or the GRE score that you're looking at. Definitely an essential component of applying for an MBA. Another area is the kind of work experience you've got, your previous education. If you've got international experience, it definitely helps. Uh, these are just a few examples. And the ways in which you stand out can differ from person to person. Like I know Sindhu's like a great athlete, which kind of worked out very well for her when she applied. So it's all about presenting ourselves in the best possible way and adding as many credentials as we can to our profile to make sure that we stand out in the pool. Ultimately, what really happens inside the war room, stays inside. But these are the few ways that we can try to make sure that that kind of works out well. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, got it. Thank you. Thank you so much.
One thing, yeah, like Divya mentioned, it's important to have something that makes you stand out of the crowd, right? It can be either your GMAT score, it can be like a community volunteering project that you took up or something. Now, I had professional sports on my, on my application, which was, it kind of did the job for me. You can be like a musician or whatever, right? Because everyone has good work experience. Everyone will have, like a good GMAT score. So what is it that makes you kind of stand out? Because this standout part is not going to end with just your MBA application. It's also when you apply for jobs as well. Because even there, everyone's coming from, a very good university. Everyone's coming from, with a good GMAT score or whatever. So it can be like a community volunteering project. I know someone who worked on like a very Swades like project, they got water supply to 2 villages or something like that. And it depends on how you tell your story as well. It could be something as simple as speaking to municipal authorities and getting the water supply to 2 cut off villages. But the way you can present it makes all that difference. So when we talk about scholarships, it's all about how you present your profile. It's about the conviction with which you can talk about what makes you different, right? And that shines through your essays. It will shine through in your interview as well. They can clearly make out if you're trying to fake something, right? So please don't do that. They're very well trained to make out, if you're trying to fake your way through it. So just introspect quite a bit on what makes you special and write about it, talk about it, and be very passionate and genuine about it.
Got it. Good.
I want to add one thing, which is asking for it. Like a lot of people don't ask for it, so maybe you can mail the admissions committee and ask for it. And also one more thing, like if you have a scholarship from competing college, like inform them and tell them that I have a competing offer. So is there any, but I'm really interested in you. So is there any way we can work this out? So that might help. I see your hand raised. Pranali, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah. Hi, Pragya. Hi, everyone. Thanks a lot for this session. First of all, this is really insightful. And when it comes to MBA, like the biggest roadblock in my head is always the financing part because the fees that goes into it is pretty huge. So just a follow-up question to what you mentioned, Pragya. You use Discover, right? As the a loan partner. So for financing MBA, it's not necessary, right, that we have to take collateral loans, because that is something that I'm a bit apprehensive about. So there are opportunities available to take non-collateral loans as well, right?
I think Discover has just non-collateral loans, but you need a co-signer for sure, like for any loan in the United States. So you need, you need someone who has a US green card, and that person should, like, if you don't pay the loan, then that person is liable to pay the loan. So that's what a co-signer is. And I think like finding co-signer is the hardest part of getting a loan in the US. So a lot of like our like peers have gone for loan in India or maybe Prodigy. It's in the US saying something.
Yeah, I think the co-signer has to be a citizen. A green
Yeah.
card holder won't work either. So they have to be
Oh,
a citizen,
okay.
someone whom they can catch hold of, and in case of both of you absconding, then they should be able to bring you back to the States. Because if you're a citizen of the United States, they can pull you back. They can't have like a Vijay Mallya situation where yeah, both of you are absconding and nobody pays the loans. Jokes apart, your co-signer has to be a citizen. There's no other way around it. I believe me, I tried. There's no other way around it.
Okay, thank you, guys.
All right. A lot of people were interested in what courses to do, what books and internship opportunities they can go for before they start their course. So, I know I didn't do a lot of things before. I just attended the Forte conference. And besides that, we were given access to management consulted by college. So, like, that is something you can do. But yeah, a lot of people that I know have not taken up any particular course before joining the MBA, but you will get a lot of communication when when you accept your when you sign your acceptance, you will get a lot of communication about different things you can opt for, like courses. So that time you can make a call if that course is worth your time. But yeah, I yeah. And anybody wants to add anything to this?
So I'll say what you want to do ahead of your MBA again kind of ties back to what you want to do after your MBA. So I wanted to be in finance, and like this is not something I did, but it was something that was strongly recommended in my case. But we were in the pandemic time, so things exactly didn't work out as I planned. But a lot of people choose to do venture capital or private equity internships ahead of the MBA program to kind of help them stand out when they are recruiting for investment banking. And to a great extent, I think that helps with consulting recruiting too. Like Pragya and Sindhu, correct me if you think differently. Uh, Another thing is like there are courses like MBA Math and a few like technology courses that you can find on Coursera that can help consolidate your coding skills to get yourself towards product management a little bit more. Uh, Other than that, like it's recommended to have a couple of different kinds of work experience to have seen two different sides of business. Like for example, like I worked in consulting, then I also choose to work on a business to see both the different sides of it to kind of decide where I really want to be longer term. Other than that, as Pragya said, once you get admitted, your college is going to give you a lot of resources that you should definitely take the benefit of. There are conferences like Forte or National Black or events organized by different organizations that happen ahead of an MBA program that you can surely go and attend. That gives you an added advantage, sets you like, a step ahead even before you start your MBA. And like Pragya had a pre-MBA offer. I had a pre-MBA offer. Sindhu's got like a chain of different offers. So I think that's something that helped all of us in the process.
Just a follow-up question to what you mentioned, Divya. So this Forte Fellow scholarship that one gets, so basically we don't have to worry about it before applying to colleges, right? We can look into that once we get our acceptances, right?
So that's a great question. Generally, like when you get accepted to a college and you get your admission letter, they name you a Forte fellow. Like your admission letter says that hey Pranali, we are pleased to name you a Forte fellow and extend you a scholarship of X amount. So that's not something you specifically apply for. That's something that you're automatically considered for and offered. If you kind of match the credentials.
Okay, got it. I just was in this impression that this is explicitly we have to apply for the scholarship. Okay, got it.
So, just trying to clarify one thing. So there are two different parts. One is the Forte Fellowship, which is a scholarship, and the other part is the Forte Conference. So Forte Conference is something that you ideally want to participate in if you think your interests match with what the conference aims to achieve. Forte fellowship, on the other hand, is something that you're automatically considered for, and you don't really have to do anything additional.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, in fact, if you don't get the Forte fellowship, it doesn't put you at any disadvantage. I don't think, all three of us are Forte fellows. I don't think it gave us that big of an advantage of sorts. The main benefit of getting a Forte fellowship is attendance to that Forte conference. And people who are not Forte fellows can always pay for the ticket and attend the Forte conference, right? So getting that fellowship, it just means some money, that nothing beyond that, nothing that is so unachievable beyond that. You can always pay for the conference and attend it.
Moving on to next question. So like if you guys can explain more about tips on your MBA experience and how you are making the most of it. I think we all three have three different strategies. So yeah, like if you can share what you're prioritizing and what you are doing in your MBA.
Well,
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Divya, go ahead. Well, I think I knew I was gunning for consulting and consulting prep, consulting and IB prep. Pragya, you also know, all of us did all of these in recruitment preparations. They really kick off right from the get-go. So I think my fall semester, I kind of didn't have time to do anything else. I was way too focused on consulting prep, and that's something that I would advise as well. Your first semester, just go all out on recruitment, because once you have that offer, nobody's gonna stop you from doing anything that you want. Explore the states, whatever you may want. I'm not supposed to say anything controversial. Pragya has already warned me against it. So I'm just going to say whatever
and
you
then
want
I went ahead and said controversial things.
Right. So whatever you want to do it after you get that offer. So I think your fall semester, put your head down, be like a horse, completely focus on recruitment. Because for internationals, you are not going to have a swayamvar once you come here like the domestic students. You have to put in a lot of effort, right? So yeah, I think my fall semester was all about getting those offers in, putting myself in the best possible position to graduate once I graduate. But now I'm doing a couple of on-campus jobs. Like I mentioned, I work with the Herb Kelleher Entrepreneurship Center, where I mentor undergraduate startup founders. And then I'm also tutoring undergrad student athletes. So once you have your offer locked in, the world's your oyster. You can do whatever you want. You can be partying in 6th Street, which is, the party hub of Austin. You can be there all night. You can do whatever you want. So your MBA experience, I would definitely say, for the first few months when you come in, be like a horse, put your head down and work, and then just freak out after that.
I couldn't agree more with what Sindhu said, that the first semester is pretty full of recruiting. But on a broader perspective, here's what I learned being in the MBA. Like, you meet so many different people with different backgrounds, they've got different priorities. And it's my conclusion that there are no two people who want the same thing. They might need similar things. So, getting into your MBA, I know it's not easy to be clear about everything, but as soon as you figure out what really matters to you within the MBA program, the better it is, whether it's in terms of the career that you're looking for, whether having an on-campus job matters to you, whether you want to party a lot, whether you want to go all in on academics, whether you want to balance out a lot of travel with your MBA program. Just make sure that, okay, this is what matters to me. And depending on what matters to you the most, just structure your path. And trust me, there will be ways open for you to pursue what you want within the program. Like, as long as you just know that, okay, this is what I'm going for. Like, we kind of had intense semester ones because of consulting and banking recruiting respectively. But, there are other people who did not go as intense, and they are doing fine too, achieving their respective goals within the program. if that makes sense.
Yeah, I totally agree with you guys. Like, I think each and every one of us is doing a different thing, and there's no right or wrong. All right. So there are a few questions about the curriculum. So I'll just state the structure, and I think it is pretty similar to most of the MBA colleges. The first semester, we have some basic core subjects, like we had financial management, microeconomics, we had accounting. Yeah, so these are the kind of subjects that we need to do for sure. And then after first semester, you can pick and choose anything you want. And we have a list of like about 50 to 100 courses that we can choose from, right? So I guess like we had quite a lot of options. And I know people like who are doing acting for business, like courses like that, where they're literally just acting. So they're going like easy on no exam and easy no tests and nothing of that sort. So yeah, you can pick courses that are easy as well. But then there are people who like me who think that they will study a lot and then don't. But yeah, for courses like investment theory, me and Livia had it and it was just brutal. We had, I think, 3 exams, but it was very like enriching in terms of learning. But yeah, it was brutal in terms of workload. uh,
Yes.
Hey Pragya, I have one specific question too. So I'm working as a digital marketing analyst, and I don't want to switch my job actually, but I just want to boost my career. And the same reason as yours, like my boyfriend is in Austin, and yeah, we are planning to get married. So I am really wanting to get into Mekon. So marketing, is it a good fit?
yeah, I think like one good thing about Macombs is that it has like marketing, it has finance as well, it has tech as well, and it has decent consulting as well. So it's not like if you come for one thing, you can't go to another. Like there are different options for you. For marketing, we have a marketing fellows program that you can opt for, that you can apply for. So basically 20 people in a batch are marketing fellows, and they will be exposed to different opportunities and different leaders in various companies. So I think that can give you a boost. And I know a lot of people who are going into marketing track. As an international student, it would help if you go for like more analytical things in marketing, because if if you're competing with non-internationals, then it gets difficult to get into brand marketing and creative things. So if you have something like product manager in marketing, something like that, then I think that will be a better fit. um yeah um I think we have just 2 minutes left, so I'll not ask any other questions, and I'll wait. If you have any questions, then please
have
shoot.
I have one last question for Pragya, like before you guys hop off.
Mhm.
This is like major question that I'm struggling right now. How you guys shortlisted college, and what's your suggestion and tips to shortlist colleges? Like what should be the safe and like high achieving, something like that. Because I'm not able to figure out. Some days I'm shortlisting 5 colleges. After a couple of weeks, I'm like, no, I should not thinking about these 5 colleges. I should look for something better, right? Any suggestion like what should I do? And specifically for international student coming from India, we know how important it is for us to get a 3 year of OPT and all those kind of things. Do you guys also give a thought, no, we have to only look for STEM designated courses, or we can also look for general courses? Like, what's your take on this?
Okay, so regarding STEM, it gives you an option of working for 3 years, but that's not helpful if you don't have a job. Like it won't help you find a job. It will just help you work with visa or your student visa for 3 years. So while you need to look for STEM, you also need to see the ranking and what the college position is. Like if it is in top 25, then I would say you're good. um but having said that, I think just doing research and just kind of understanding and talking to people, I think that is the best thing that you can do right now. Like just with talking to us, you could gauge more about McCombs, right? So just doing that and doing your online research will help you get an idea. Okay, this is the college which I'm gravitating towards. I know like McCombs as well as other colleges, they have their different webinars and seminars. Attend those and do that research and also have a timeline in mind as to this is when I'll give my GMAT. This is where, I should be done with my research, or this is when I should be done with my shortlist. Another thing that I did was I tried to reach out to different admission consultants, showed them my background and profile, and tried to ask them which colleges I should apply for. So in general, like most of these consultants give their consultation for free. So you can like reach out to everybody and get that free consultation. So that might help. I think
I'll just
we are.
add one thing.
Yeah.
Oh, so sorry. Are we at?
Yeah, go ahead. No,
Okay,
go ahead.
so, I'll say if you want to put a filter, then filter the STEM MBA programs first. Like make a list of the STEM MBA programs that you find. Then try to see the average GMAT. Try to match your GMAT score with them. And then see, okay, these are the, say, 10 colleges that are coming in my range. Then do a bit more research on those 10 colleges by talking to people and stuff. Definitely talking to the admissions consultant helps. But in case there's another way you want to do, maybe like it's something similar to what the admissions consultant would eventually do to assess your profile.
Great points. One thing that I want to add is don't fall into the trap that the higher the ranking, the better the university is. Because all that a brand name will do for you is it will get you a few extra interview invites, maybe. Because something in a top 7, like the M7, may get you 5 interviews. Something in top 20 may get you 3 interviews. Something below that may get you 1 interview. But if you're not able to crack 1 interview, then what's the point of getting 5 interview invites, right? So once you are into the university, it's all about your effort, your networking, how you position yourself, right? So don't fall into the trap of better the ranking, better the university, and I'm going to have this swayamvar of sorts where, I'm inundated with offers. That is not going to happen. So that is one important trap not to fall into. And I would definitely suggest go for something that has a STEM designation, because as you all very well know, the H-1B is a lottery system. There is absolutely nothing you can do to control it. Getting a job, a huge part of it is in your control, right? The effort that you put in, the number of technical interviews you do, your behavioral interviews, whatever it may be, a huge part of it is in your control. But the H-1B process, there's absolutely nothing you can do about it other than pray, right? So you want to have those 3 extra tries to look for that STEM designation. And as Divya mentioned, that's a very good point. Look at the average GMAT of all the universities that you're targeting. Have a couple of dream schools, have a couple of reach schools, have a couple of safety schools, because you also want to, have this good balance between scholarship and brand as well. You don't want to go to something that is in like a 40th rank, which will give you a full ride, but the alumni connections are not strong enough. But you don't want to go to an M7 where you are stuck with like a 2 crore loan, and you have the same job that someone in a Georgia Tech has, and that person has like maybe like a 40-50 lakh loan, right? Because the concept in India, I know based on your college, your starting salary differs, but here that's not the case. Whatever position you go into, no matter which school, you can be from University of South Florida or South Alaska, but if you're going into a certain position, your starting salary is going to be the same across. Harvard, South Alaska, nobody cares. Your starting salary is going to be the same, right? So have a couple of dream schools, reach schools, safety schools. That is one thing. And talk to people. That gives you a vibe of what sort of seniors you'll have. It'll give you a vibe of what sort of community you can expect, because that is pretty important. I know it sounds very superficial. Once you're in, who cares, right? But the sort of support that you get will be very important. So talk to people, you'll get a vibe. you'll get a general vibe. If you really hated talking to the three of us, then maybe MCOMs is not for you, right? Because you will find similar people in there. But if you really like talking to us, then yeah, maybe why not? You can just try applying to MCOMs, right? So definitely talking to many people helps. Do that, and that's a very good point that Pragya mentioned. Get those free consultations in. See what schools many of these consultants are suggesting for you. If there's some commonality in that, there's some common thread, pick that up, right? And most of the schools will have a few similar essay questions. I think only Stanford and Harvard have like really weird questions about what's one thing that's important to you, right? But most other schools will have something very similar, like what are your goals, what are your short term, long term, those kind of things. Why do you want to attend this school? So those can be tweaked. So increase the number of schools you're applying to, because your essay can be tweaked a little bit and modified to fit into each of these schools, right? So the effort, as and when you go increase the number of schools that you're applying to, your incremental effort reduces that much, right? So definitely try applying to a few more schools. And the final thing that I would mention is the employment statistics that they publish. One is the fact that the school is publishing employment statistics, how many people they're placing into tech, how many into finance, how many into consulting, how many into CPG, right? All schools will be publishing this on their website. Some don't. Remove that from your list immediately because they don't have good stats to publish. Second filter in that is some schools are willing to publish their employment statistics for international students as well. Now that is a very good indicator that they have strong placement for international students as well, because there's that added barrier of sponsorship for international students, which companies are a little apprehensive about. So if a school is publishing their employment statistics for international students, it automatically shows that they have a strong record, right? So do this research. Your employment statistics will tell you about the industry that you think you may want to get into, right? For me, that was an important indicator with MCOMs, because I wanted to do consulting, yes, but my backup options were like in tech, in finance. And I wanted to make sure I'm going to a school that has good records in these industries as well, right? Because in consulting, if it doesn't happen, like I don't get an offer in consulting, then I will go into like tech and finance. And what if the school is not well known for it, right? Then I'm neither here nor there. To go for a school that is well-rounded in each of these. That is another filter that I applied, and it could probably be helpful.
Like, absolutely love it. Like, all these feedbacks are a gem for me. My 1 month of work has been reduced like in a couple of minutes what you guys have done. So thank you so much for it.
I'm glad. Thanks to Pragya, she made this happen.
No, thank you guys for joining. I want to tell everybody, I think 12 a.m. in Austin. So these ladies have been staying awake so that we hop in online at a time which is convenient to India. So really thank you guys for that, and thank you for the session.
Thank you guys.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much,
Bye-bye.
guys. Thank you so much for the session.